I'm so overpowered. About this. Hashtag winning.
Hi guys, it's me, Alexa from Alexa Plays Games. Today, I'm really excited to share with you guys everything you need to know to play one of my favorite controllers, EMS. Before Ambi existed, EMS was my favorite controller. EMS is very easy to unlock, so it seems like most players you'll encounter playing ladder or ranked are most likely new players who don't know how to best use her. It's why most of the solo mode ranked games I played on my mini with EMS as I made this guide started out like this.
Hashtag I'm so gonna win everything.
Don't make me get Nita!
But almost every time I managed to get them to do this by round 2 or 3.
I'm so overpowered. Hashtag winning.
Because, as I said before, there was a time when EMS was my absolute favorite brawler. The game was very different back then though. When I started playing, it took a while climbing up Trophy Road to unlock her. So once I finally did, all I did was play MZ for months. Every day. No matter the map or mode, I went EMS. But as of the making of this video, there are 83 brawlers in the game, so while it's easy to unlock EMS, it's harder to figure out how to play her to her fullest capacity, because her matchups aren't so clear-cut anymore. Instead of being able to take her into any map, you do need to learn where she performs best and what lane she's best playing. She's still one of my favorite brawlers though. Once you learn how and when to use her, she is incredibly fun to play and can even be a great competitive choice you can use in ranked. Once you learn how to best utilize her mechanics and what maps she's best on, she's a great brawler for beginners who don't have a lot of experience yet but still want to climb the ladder or do better in ranked. Also, I promise, once you know how to best use her, you can make your randoms who are mad at you for going EMS at the beginning of the game change their minds about you and my girl EMS, like I did with this Leon. So if you're struggling to push EMS in ladder or use her properly in ranked, stick around because after this guide you will be hashtag winning. This is my favorite build for EMS. However, I should note that I will switch up her build depending on the map or mode, but for the maps I love to play EMS on the most, this build is my go-to. But before we get into it, I do need to mention that while I was recording this video, we were in the middle of the SpongeBob event, and for some reason, they changed it in the training grounds too. So if you see bubbles while I'm demonstrating something, like, ignore that. That was just for the event, and once it's over, it won't be that way anymore. But with that said, let's talk about her build. EMS has one really good gadget and one meh, could be useful in very specific situations gadget. So let's start with the meh gadget. Acid Spray allows EMS to shoot her next basic attack through walls.
Hashtag I'm so gonna win everything.
The catch being, it will reduce the damage of her next basic attack by 10%. Why they felt the need to reduce the damage inflicted is beyond me. I don't see how this could possibly be broken enough that it needed any nerf whatsoever, but okay, Supercell. This isn't a horrible gadget. There are times when it can help you get that very necessary kill when your enemies are hiding behind walls, but generally, her other gadget is much better, as you can see. The other gadget made all the difference and helped me win this mirror match. Moving on to her good gadget, Friend Zoner. Friend Zoner pushes enemies into MZ's friend zone.
You are so bad. Oh my god.
Just kidding, but far enough away that she can deal the most damage possible with her basic attack. The thing about EMS is she's very weak up close, she barely does any damage, so you want your enemies to be a good distance away from you in order to inflict damage. Don't worry, we'll get into how to do that later, but this gadget will not only protect Ems from brawlers who counter her, but also does a little damage as well. So if your enemy only has a sliver of HP left, you can also finish the job with this gadget. But you want to keep in mind that if you want to use this gadget in an enclosed space, you won't be able to knock enemies back far enough to protect you. So make sure when you're facing an enemy brawler that counters you that you give yourself plenty of room to knock them back.
They say she's too wrapped up in herself. Hashtag
All in all, this gadget can help you defend yourself and the goal, if need be, allowing her to make up for her biggest weakness, making it the best all-around gadget for Ems. Now that you know when and how to use each gadget, let's move on to her star powers. Unlike her gadgets, both of Emsy's star powers are really good, but which star power you use may depend on the map, mode, your matchups, or just your playstyle in general, so let's get into it. Bad Karma increases the damage Ems deals to enemies who stay too long in the hairspray clouds of her basic attack by 25%.
Try my new perfume!
While using the star power, your basic attack deals a significant more damage if you catch them right in her sweet spot. Don't worry, I'll teach you guys how to do that later, but I should note that while Ems already does plenty of damage without it, there are certain matchups where it comes in handy, namely going up against tanks and assassins. Tanks because they're so tanky, and assassins because they're so fast. She really needs to take them down faster. However, if you can only afford one star power and like the damage boost, it can be used in every matchup, even if it is overkill. My preferred star power is Hype. Hype steals 576 health from every victim, enemy, caught in her super. This star power is often described as the high trophy star power. More often than not, you'll see pros using this star power because it's very strategically useful. Once you get into higher trophies, you may not be playing Ems strictly for the kills and damage anymore, but rather for area control, visibility support, spawn trapping, etc. The best way to achieve this throughout the game is to stay alive as much as possible, which is why this star power is extremely useful if you're using Ems as a controller first and damage dealer second. But also, this might just be me being a bit evil, but I love watching her suck away their health. It's so satisfying to me. If you're climbing the ladder, I would recommend first using Bad Karma because there will be a lot of tank and assassin matchups you'll have to deal with, but once you've gotten to higher trophies and you don't have to carry your random teammates as much, Hype allows you to play her more like a controller than a damage dealer. Being a controller specialist, if I dare call myself that, I love the star power for that reason. Now let's discuss her gears. Starting with the speed gear. Because Ems is a mid-range brawler, she needs grass and environment to get close to damage enemies a lot of the time. For this reason, Ems thrives on grassy maps. Since I play her mostly on maps with a lot of grass or grass in key spots, I almost always use the speed gear. I'd say it's a priority 1 gear for her. Speaking of grassy maps, you might consider the vision gear. Since invading enemy grass and spawn camping is one of Ems' specialties, being able to track your enemy's movements is extremely useful on maps she's best on. So on maps with a lot of bushes, I often pair speed with the vision gear. Shield is a pretty decent gear for Ems. She's not the squishiest brawler, but it does come in handy in passive modes when you want to improve your survivability. Damage is a good gear for Ems, but her star power can complicate things. If you're using Hype, it can make up for the lack of basic attack damage boost she'd get from Bad Karma.
Try my new perfume!
But because once she activates her super, she'll heal up, the damage gear will only benefit her for a small portion of the super's duration. On the other hand, if you're going with Bad Karma, it completely enhances the damage boost she already has.
I can finally breathe again!
Making it a good gear if you need her to be a damage dealer going up against a tanky comp. So if you want to go damage gear, just keep in mind you'll get the most value pairing it with bad karma.
Finally breathe again. You are so bad.
Last but definitely not least, Gadget Charge or the +1 gear. I almost always use this gear playing ladder because I will spend most games pushing assassins off of me the entire time.
Oh, you can finally breathe again. Really totally not getting a friendship bracelet.
I would pay like 10,000 gold for a +4 gadget gear. Like, I'm not even joking. Especially lately when there has been a Mortis every single game. I need more than just one extra gadget, okay? But I'll settle for just one more. On the bright side, at least they kept this in mind while cooking up her Hypercharge. Em's Hypercharge knocks enemies back to the edge of her super and hits them with extra hairspray. While it's not the most broken Hypercharge in the world, it's a good Hypercharge that suits her. I would say my biggest complaint is how long it takes to get it. If they increase the Hypercharge rate just a little bit, it would definitely make it a much more valuable Hypercharge for sure. But as it is still a really good Hypercharge that not only makes up for Em's biggest weakness, it's also strong enough to get double kills or even team wipes.
Double takedown!
Good Hypercharges can turn the tides of a game, and Em's Hypercharge can do just that. Even if she doesn't get the team wipe, she will have inflicted plenty of damage on the enemy team and created space for her teammates. Is it required to play Em's? No. Some brawlers are just god-awful without their Hypercharge, but Em's can stand alone without it. But it's very nice to have, much like having a +8 gadget gear would be great to have during this Mortis apocalypse we're in the midst of. But in my opinion, it is not necessary. If you're on the fence about it or you don't have the coins, wait to get it in a drop. It's very nice to have, but not a deal breaker Hypercharge by any means.
You are so bad.
Victory!
I'm so gonna win everything.
Much like with Sandy, MZ's mechanics aren't extremely difficult to master, but due to certain limitations, it can still make her really challenging to play. She is very beginner friendly in some ways, but because she is one of the first brawlers you unlock, most players are aware of her limitations and how to use them against you. However, all is not lost, my friend. There are ways to make up for her limitations and outsmart experienced players. You just need to gain a better understanding of how her mechanics work so that you can use them properly. A lot of players who say Em's is bad don't use her for control whatsoever. They want to use her as a damage dealer, and because there are better damage dealers in the game, they say she's not good. But that's just not true. A brawler isn't bad just because you don't use them properly. Em's first and foremost is a controller, so to get better at her, you have to learn how to use her for control. I know those of you who only care about the KD on your end screen are probably rolling your eyes right now, but trust me, if you learn how to use Em's for control purposes, the KD will come naturally. But not only that, you'll also be a much better teammate as a result. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Time to update my blog. I'm so word about this. Time to update my blog.
While it's easy to aim MZ's basic attack due to how wide it is, that doesn't mean it's easy to get kills with it. Her basic attack is made up of 5 clouds of hairspray, and depending on where you hit your target, you could get 1 hit or multiple hits. To hit your target so that they sustain multiple hits, you have to have good positioning, which is why you won't find yourself working on aiming M's basic. Aiming isn't the difficult part. Most likely, you'll need to work on your footwork. I know it's tempting to run forward, but you want your basic to hang in the air like actual hairspray. And to do that, you want to run back or around your targets. If you get your positioning and footwork down, it won't be hard to hit your enemies in her sweet spot. What exactly is her sweet spot, you might ask? It's right in the middle of all 5 clouds. Right here is where you'll inflict the most damage. If you're too close, you'll only get 1 or 2 hits, and if you're too far, you'll only get 1 hit. So to get those juicy multiple hits, try to envelop your target in hairspray right here in the middle. Once you reach high trophies though, enemies are much more experienced and it's a lot harder to hit your target, so keep these tips in mind.
Time to update my blog. Time for a detox.
First of all, surprise attack. Experienced players know how to stay out of her range, so the best way to take them down is to surprise them. A lot of new players will chase after their targets and wonder why they're not hitting anyone. Instead, use grass or a wall or something to keep your attack a surprise so they don't think to dodge until it's too late. Her basic is most effective when you target enemies grouped together. Again, this is hard to do in high trophies because experienced players know to play their own lanes, but sometimes they slip up and that's the best time to strike.
You are so bad. Oh my god.
You can also use how experienced players know how to stay out of her range against them. She makes a really good gatekeeper. Sometimes the best way to help your team is to just not let your enemies through one key area. Em's basic was kind of made to do this since it deals so much damage and is so wide. And experienced players will waste a lot of time trying to dodge it. Finally, don't give them a means of escape. They can't dodge if there's no room, can they? So use walls to pinch them whenever possible.
Victory!
Em's super slows down and damages enemies in a very large radius. The cool thing about her super is if you slow someone on the edge of her super, you'll be trapping them in the sweet spot of her basic attack. So not only will it slow them down and damage them, it's a perfect guide for where to aim your hairspray as well. Some key tips to keep in mind are: use her super to trap enemies who are trying to be aggressive or trying to run away. It's also incredibly useful to slow down enemies who want to stop you when you see an opportunity to score.
Victory!
Building off on that, use the slow to help your teammates get takedowns. Her super goes through walls, so you can do this even when you need to heal up. And building off on that once more, if you have a pesky thrower or an enemy who is run away but hiding behind a wall, you can use the slow to stop them from getting away.
Try some zombies. By me. Hashtag winning.
Some general tips that will help you push Ems and ladder are: play her mostly on grassy maps. You can use her on maps that have a lot of walls too, but in general, open maps with a lot of grass like Infinite Doom or Snake Prairie allow Ems to really shine.
Double takedown!
Provide backup to your aggro teammates. Since you don't want to get up close and personal with enemies while playing Ems, help out your teammates who do. Ems is the best friend of tanks and assassins who can benefit from the help of a damage dealer and the slow from her super.
Victory!
Because her super covers such a large radius and damages all of the enemies within it, it's also a tool for visibility support. Once the enemies are caught in her super, her teammates will be able to find where they are lurking, making her a very good scout on grassy maps as well. So yeah, when I say grass is her friend, I mean it. Finally, use her super to spawn trap. The slow from her super can help you trap them in their spawn pretty easily. You can spawn trap them in pretty much any mode as well. MZ is good enough to do it on her own, but hopefully your teammates help out too.
About this.
Not long ago, I posted a short showing a few clips that I also included in this guide, and someone commented out of the blue in an attempt to put me in my place, I guess. Ems is low skill. Like, I'm sorry. You have to have a fundamental misunderstanding of how to use her properly if that's what you think. Sure, if you're playing Ems and low trophies as just a damage dealer, then okay, sure, you can say that she's low skill. You can auto-aim her attacks most of the time, but once you get to 650-ish trophies, you have to start using your brain and take advantage of her control mechanics if you want to gain trophies. One thing that can be very jarring is how different it is to play her in 40k and less trophies as opposed to against experienced players 40k and above. When I just started my mini and unlocked Ems, I only had enough coins to upgrade her to power 7 and get her gadget. But I mean, Infinite Doom was the wipeout map of the day, and that's one of my favorite Ems maps, so I decided to just play until I lost. I kid you not, I pushed her to 875 trophies in just a few hours before I lost. I was absolutely shocked how easy it was. The players I was matched against in such a low trophy range were not experienced, so they didn't know how to handle Ems. And I didn't have to struggle like I do on my main. But that's the thing, because she's one of the first brawlers you unlock. If you have 40k plus trophies or are using her in ranked, playing her can be frustrating because experienced players know how to counter her. You really have to outsmart them if you want to win. But once you learn how to use her control and visibility support on top of dealing damage, you'll find she makes a very good teammate. There's a reason pros pick her in competitive matches. So, how do you use her competitively? A big part of it is the map, which I already covered, but it's also about knowing who she counters and who counters her. So you can pick good matchups and draft with ease. So, let's get into it. She counters tanks and assassins, kind of. Kind of, because before tanks and assassins can charge up their super most of the time, she can control them and make their lives miserable. But once a lot of tanks and assassins charge up their supers that allow them to super on top of her, which is most of them, she will struggle to get rid of them when she's out of friend zoners. Which is why when I pick Ems into a tank or an assassin, I stick to the buddy system. What I mean by that is, I stick around a brawler who can easily deal with tanks and assassins up close. It usually makes us the dream team. She also counters invisibility. Her super is the same size as Sandy's super, so she can counter his sandstorms, and she can find both Kid and Leon with her super when they're invisible. Also, because she has a Pierce attack and does so much damage with her basic attack, she counters brawlers who rely on pets for protection, like Tara and Charlie. She she's countered by anyone who can get right on top of her. So mostly assassins, but anyone can charge into her close range and just make her miserable, really. And like I said before, when they don't have their super, she has the upper hand, but if she's out of friend zoners, it's so hard to get rid of them. I could make a 10-minute montage of just Mordai, yes, that is the plural of Mortis, torturing me as I made this guide. Not even joking, 10 minutes. So yeah, plus your gadget, Supercell, pretty please. And then there's range. It's so hard dealing with brawlers who outrange her. It requires so many jukes. So any brawler who outranges her and breaks open the map so she can't use the grass or walls to get close to enemies, hard counter her.
Totally not getting a fresh play.
But the good news is, when it comes to MZ, playing with the right comp and builds can help her overcome these counters. Some brawlers get countered and there's nothing you can do about it, but Ems can protect herself, so it is a matter of skill. That's right, random Ems hater who commented on my short. Skill. But if you keep my tips in mind, you'll get good enough at Ems to make everyone #haters.
I'm only here for the trophies. Time to update my blog.
So there you have it. That's everything you need to know to be a good EMS player. If you like this guide, make sure to check out the other guides I've made. I'm making a series. Also, if you want to suggest a brawler for the next guide, either leave me a comment or join my Discord server. Link in the description. And let me know. I love hearing from you guys. Thank you so much to everyone who helped me with this guide. Eddie, Totara Kujo, Max, and Aeon, you're my goats. I'm working on some other guides, mastery pushes, and rank 30 pushes, so stay tuned. But until then, play later, guys. Mwah.